Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'm going to take a closer look at inflammation. And I can't think of a better time to do so because I just had some gravel fly in my eye a couple days ago, and now my right eye is inflamed. You can notice that it's red and it's swollen. Well, those are two of the 5 main symptoms of inflammation. We have redness and swelling, pain and fever, and then impairment of function. And I've mentioned this before in other videos. This is the symptom that confuses all of us because different body parts do different things, and when they're not working, they have different symptoms. And it's the same symptom all over. It doesn't matter what cell or tissue or organ isn't working, where it's at. All that matters is that why is it happening? And the reason why it's happening has to do with the fact that our body is nothing but a bunch of cells and 2 main fluids. One fluid feeds it, the other cleans it. So when these aren't functioning, we have a functional problem. We have an impairment of function. And what's happening is our cells, our tissues are not being cleansed properly, and then the body has to get rid of that waste matter, especially if it backs up from the lymph system. And the first 2 symptoms, redness and swelling, what do we have? Well, those are the 2 fluids, right? Blood is red, and the lymph fluid is represented with the inflammation. So if there's damaged cells, the blood brings in materials to repair the cells, but most importantly, there is damage that's done that needs to be taken away. Not to mention that every cell has waste matter that needs to be taken away anyway. So when the lymph system backs up, it backs up backwards. It backs back up into the cells. And I've said this before in other videos, and you can click here and go to a couple other videos I've made just recently that explain that there are 2 short-term self-limited diseases and 4 long-term stages of disease. And now we're taking a closer look at the first of those 4 long-term stages when waste matter backs up into tissues, and that is where we have inflammation. So the redness and the swelling, the blood and the lymph fluid, the pain and the fever. Why the pain? Well, that's a no-brainer. It's part of our feedback system. Pleasure and pain. Our brains are wired that way. That's why this special teaching tool I created was based on 2 forms of 2 value logic that we're all born with. One of them is an ordered pair, cause and effect, action, reaction, and the other would be polar opposites, pleasure and pain, positive effect, negative effect. And when we don't, and all we have to do is satisfy our needs. If we don't, then 2 things happen to us. One is we end up with things inside of us that don't belong there, and the other is we don't end up with things inside of us that do belong in there. So anything that gets into us that doesn't belong there, the body's going to try to get rid of, just like this gravel in my eye. I have a redness and a swelling where the body's trying to get rid of it. Same thing happens when our lymph system backs up, and now we have cellular waste being dumped back into the cells. The body tries to get rid of it. So this is inflammation. Again, what do we have? The redness and the swelling. And the pain, it's telling us something's wrong. Then the fever. Why the fever? Well, for every degree our body temperature rises, our white blood cells double their speed to go around and do their job in case there's something inside there that doesn't belong there. So that's the purpose of a fever. And then again, it's the 5th symptom that's confusing all of us, or most of us at least, because most of us don't know that the 5th symptom is impairment of function, and the liver does something different than the kidneys and the adrenals, and all the organs do something different, so now we have a different symptom. But all the symptoms are just a sign that an organ's not functioning for us properly. And the reason in most cases is we have things inside of us that don't belong there. Either something's coming in from the outside, like I had recently with my eye, or more importantly, we have something on the inside coming back into our cells and tissues. And this is the reason why disease is a mystery to most doctors. They only study the blood, they don't study the lymph system. You go to an eye specialist, and they can tell, yeah, I got something in your eye, I can get that out of you. But all the other eye problems, they don't know the eye's being attacked from the other side, because that's what's on the other side of the cell. You see, that's the part that most allopathic doctors have no clue of. In fact, most naturopathic doctors and homeopathic doctors don't really understand this very well either. So it's very hard to get simple solutions to problems that are really quite simple once we realize that most of our problems are coming from our lymph system backing up into the system. So with inflammation, that's what we're looking at today real quickly. We've got the redness and the swelling. The 2 fluids are involved, blood and the lymph. And then the pain, again, is there to tell us something's wrong. It's part of our feedback system. And the fever, again, in case there's something that's coming from the outside, we got to get it. Or even if from the inside, our white blood cells will go twice as fast for every degree the body goes up. And again, the impairment of function is because the body just doesn't function anymore. It's damaged. It's either temporarily impaired or even possibly permanently damaged. So there's a very simple solution for inflammation. You either quit banging your head up against the wall, you quit letting stuff fly in your eyes, get some glasses to wear when you're driving in the road. But most importantly, quit putting in the wrong food, so it's going to damage the kidneys, and then the lymph system won't be able to be cleansed properly, and then the lymph system will back up, and then it goes into the tissues, and it starts with the inflammation, then ulceration, then induration. That's a hardening, a thickening, a scarring of the tissues. And the last stage is where we have tumors and cysts and boils and nodules and fibroids. And many times what we got here is just a big pool of acid lymph fluid. Lymph fluid is somewhere between 3 to 5 pH. If the kidneys haven't, or if the bacteria in the lymph nodes haven't had a chance to convert it, it's coming out around 3 pH. So this is what leads to cancer. When we have a tumor, we have a very acidic pool fluid of acid fluid that is 50,000 times hotter. It can be up to 50,000 times hotter than our blood, and that will burn normal cells. So anything that damages cells can make it go cancerous. And that's where the tumor can make cancer happen, but so does radiation, so does chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is like 1.5 to 2 pH. Battery acid is 1 pH. And if we ever wake up to this, we'll realize this has got to be the worst Twilight Zone episode imaginable. Imagine going to another planet. Just think about this. You go to another planet and somehow no one knows you're different, but you're there to observe and you can see what everyone's doing, and they're pretty much doing what we're doing, but for some reason every time someone catches a cold or whatever it might be, something's unique, instead of it being cancer, they say, well, the solution is let's pour battery acid down this person's throat. Well, battery acid, it comes in at a 1 pH. That's 5 million times hotter than our blood. 2 pH, 500,000 times hotter than our blood. That's where a lot of chemotherapies are, at 5 pH. Some are 1.5 pH. So they're even hotter than that. So why are we given more acid to fight an acid condition? Why are we using gasoline to put out a fire? It doesn't make sense. Well, if you want to make some sense out of this, it's going to challenge you, I guarantee you, at least for most of us, because then you begin to realize how the world works. And it's all based on us being sick. So everything related to our health has to be controlled by the status quo to make sure the status quo remains the status quo. So that's why we have the situation where we have now. You've heard of 1984, double speak, double talk. What do we got here? War is peace. Poison is health. Chemotherapy is supposed to work, radiation is supposed to work, and we know both of those burn cells, just like the tumor itself. So what do? They cut out the tumor? Well, that's not the solution. Why is the lymph system developing tumors? It's not clean. Well, why is that? Well, it's mainly because of the kidneys. And why is that? Many times the adrenals aren't working. But usually the kidneys are damaged first, and that damages the adrenals, and then the adrenals can't control the kidneys, and now the lymph system never gets cleaned. So to heal the body, we want to clean the body out. We got to make sure the kidneys are working well, the adrenals are working well. We start with the colon. Many times when you do nothing but clean out the colon, that will clean out the kidneys and the adrenals, and that will clean out the lymph system, and that will get rid of the problem that's leading to the inflammations and the ulcerations and the indurations and all the tumors and cysts and boils and fibroids and things like that. And you can click right here and go to a seminar where I explain the best way to do that. It's about 2 hours long, and all this information is for free. I don't sell anything. I'm only an educator. So this is all free for the taking. Please take advantage of it, and be sure to share this information with everybody. There's a very simple solution that most people don't know. Our so-called experts are being misdirected by a very small group of us to make sure that they don't understand how the lymph system plays into this disease process. And you can click here and you can go to a couple more videos I did just recently that explains how medicine is the ultimate tool of control, because they can't control us unless we're sick, and also explain that there's basic healing secrets that I've revealed, and that's where I go into the 2 short-term stages, or short-term self-limited diseases, and then the 4 long-term stages of disease. So if you're suffering, if you know anyone who's suffering, let them know about this. Have them go to my seminar. Once again, click right here, and I guarantee you, my friends, when you do it, you're in for a treat.